Alright guys, so welcome to my channel. In this channel we teach you how to excel academically. We teach you life lessons that will help you as a youth and as somebody who is coming up in academics and also in life generally. Okay. How did I end up in Uniport? Alright, so it's kind of a long story, but I'll cut it very short, right? So I actually finished my secondary school in 2015. I just finished secondary school and I wanted to get into the university immediately, but then my parents had a project at hand. The project at hand was my elder brother who was just going to also looking for admission. So they said they were able to just carry one more person, just one person, and there was no room for me actually. So I had to leave, my brother get into school, although he didn't get admission that very year too. But I used that time to learn something, doing and all of that. So, but my primary place of desire was the north. I wanted to school in the north. Now, it's very strange because many people were running out of the north at that time, but I was longing to go to the north. And the reason why I wanted to go to the north was because there are many reasons actually. Firstly, I started learning how to barb. And in the place where I was learning how to barb, I was serving as an apprentice. One of the women who stayed close to that place was actually coming from the north. She was not a northerner, but she stayed in the north, Meduguri particularly. And she started telling me about a lot of things about the north, telling me how the north was coordinated, how things were cheap, how there was brotherliness, and a lot of things she started telling me about the north. So I said I longed to experience what she was talking about. So I decided to give it a try. I decided to go to the north. But even more than that, one of the reasons why I also wanted to go to the north was because one of my secondary school mates actually was studying law. And come on, law, I mean law was a very tough, course to get in the south and even in the west. Just imagine getting law, and then the honor and everything that comes with it. And when I asked her what school she was in, she told me it was University of Meduguri. And I was thinking, University of Meduguri, the same place where this other woman was coming from. Okay, then was the time when there was actually bomb blast, many things going on in the north, Boko Haram and the rest. So one thing I did was I started inquiring from her. I asked her what was her JAM score, and she said she had 211. Come on, 211 will not get you law in the south here. It won't get you law in the east or in the west. Okay, so it was an opportunity for me to study a very professional course, right? Very, very, relaxed, and nothing will happen to me. But here were my parents. They were very concerned. Who wouldn't be concerned about their child? I was just I was a teenager at that time, so they were so concerned about me and my newfound love for the north. I was researching about the north. I was going to University of Meduguri's website. I was doing everything to make sure that I finally end up in the north. All right. So how did I finally end up in Uniport? Right. Now I made up my mind I was going to the north. My parents were every day was just a back and forth matter. Chinedu, you are not going to the north. I said I'm going to the north. And then finally they gave in and they were like, okay, so it's your life. Go and do whatever you want to do. Now, when I went to JAM Center, saw a girl from the north. Please don't look at me like that. I saw a girl from the north. She was very, very beautiful, I must say. Oh God, she was so beautiful. And not really because of her beauty was one, but particularly because of my desire to be in the north. I approached her and I asked her what school she was going for. So she told me she was going to Umaru Musa Yar'Adua University. That was my first time of ever hearing any name like that. Umaru Musa Yar'Adua University. And she told me it was in Castina. So I was, okay, so tell me more about this school. She told me that firstly the school was in the place where there was no violence. All the terrorist attacks were not close to Castina. And she was just marketing the school. She showed me pictures of the school, that the school fees was cheap, and a lot of things she told me about the school. And I was like, okay, so here's somebody from the north and she's giving me a better option with the way she described the school. And I was like, okay, let me try the school. Okay, so I went into the line. She was sitting close to me. So while we were talking, she registered first and then she left. So probably I didn't understand what she said, but she told me later. That was what she told me, and I thought she was going outside to wait for me so that we'll continue our talk. But then I finished my registration, put Umaru Musa Yar'Adua University, and you need to see me laughing that day, like smiling while I was putting it. Like I didn't know I was doing something that I wouldn't finally end up with. Okay, so I put Umar Musa at University, and she left. So when I came out, I looked for her, I didn't see her. I said, okay, so let me do more research about this school, right? So I got my phone, typed Umar Musa University online, and I saw their fees at that time, 2017, was about 60 something thousand. And I was okay, 60 something thousand. One of the things that also made me want to study in the north was the cheap fees. Things were cheap, the houses were cheap. I had you could get a room for about 12,000 naira, good standard room. I had you could get foodstuffs very cheap, and so many other things. So I said, okay, so I can't pay 60 something thousand naira in a foreign land. That was for non-indigens. For indigens, I think it was about 40 something thousand. And Uniport is just 45,000 naira. And my friend studies in Uniport. So my parents, when I came back, I was so depressed. Like I knew I had made a mistake. So I didn't even know how to tell them I didn't put University of Maiduguri. I didn't even know how to tell them it wasn't University of Maiduguri like we said. It was now Umaru Musa Yar'Adua because of a fine girl. Okay, so when I came back, I just kept the sleep, and I went to sleep. So they were like, Chinedu, you didn't tell us about how your journey went, and they took the sleep and they laughed and laughed and laughed. I was ashamed of myself, and nobody told me they have left me behind. So I was a 70-year-old man at that time. So I took my money. I used my money to do change of institution, and that was how I put University of Port Harcourt. I wanted to study law was in my mind, but I felt okay, let me do public administration. But there was no public administration at that time. There is now, but at that time there was no public administration. So I had to put political and administrative studies, and that's what I'm studying currently. I'll soon be a graduate, and that was how I finally ended in Uniport. Okay, so I hope you found this story very interesting, and I know it's going to help somebody out there. Okay, so share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.